So apparently they're talking about what's next. And yesterday we were talking, was it Monday? We're talking about Game of Thrones and the spinoff of the Targaryen spinoff. And it's like, now they're saying, what else can we do? Well, they're going to do another Targaryen spinoff. That's what's going to happen. HBO is like, we're going to do one more Targaryen spinoff about Aegon, the first, about his reign, about him coming down and like destroying everything and conquering the realm and making the actual throne for Game of Thrones. So we're actually going to see him and what he told, which is like 300 years before the start of Game of Thrones. Now, the latest spinoff was only 200 years before Game of Thrones. So,
only?
I mean, only 200. This is 300.
Oh, wow.
So House of the Dragon was only 200. This is 300. I mean, they keep going back in time so much. So it makes sense to me that you would just tell this story. But I think this would be the story you would tell first. You think you would tell this and then lead up, as opposed to waiting. And like everyone's talking about how much of a badass he was, but it's like we didn't get to see that. We just heard stories in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. We heard about that he was a badass. Well, now they're going to go back and they're saying they're also going to do a feature component too, along with the series. So they're going to have a feature film that leads into the series. And their plans are in flux, but as they're saying right now, you're going to get Aegon the First, Targaryen around, and you're going to get him lots of dragons. You're going to see him bringing the dragons in and conquering. So, it's going to be interesting to see, but they're apparently really gung-ho about this. So if you're a fan of the Targaryens, you're getting more. If you're a fan of this, you're getting more. So, and the thing is about House of the Dragon, you think that they would just talk about that more. They're really like unsure about that as a whole. So they're already like, let's do something else. And we still haven't heard about the Jon Snow show yet. So I don't know what's going on with that yet. But this is something they are moving forward with. So if you're a fan, you're getting more. And hopefully it works out for them, because I don't know if people are fatigued by this or not at this point. So Sabrina's not about this, though. She's like,
just like beat it to death, why don't you? Like, we get it. Like, fuck off. I don't know how many times I have to say come up with a new fucking idea. Like, and a new idea doesn't mean like one more 100 years back in time. Like, fuck off. Like, just stop. It's so obnoxious at this point, honestly.
But I think this like he was the badass everyone's
Who
talking
cares?
about. Why don't you just jump to that instead of doing House of the Dragon? Why don't you go back and start where it started and then work your way up, as opposed to jumping in the middle and then like now you're going back in time.
And like they have a very successful thing and they're like, well, what are we going to do from here? And I think that it was successful, this prequel that they did, you know what I mean? And now they're like, well, let's do another prequel and let's do another prequel. And soon we're going to be 1,000 years back in time and it's going to be cave fucking people. Like, I've had enough. Like, just stop, please. For fuck's sake.
You never know. They'll just keep jumping. You never know, actually. But
just stop.
And they're still talking about, like I said, the Jon Snow spinoff, which continues Jon Snow's story from after Game of Thrones. So we'll go back in the future, and we'll go back in time. We'll be all over the place. And House of Cards, House of the Dragon will never end.
I agree, Lexi.
So never new ideas. Same old. I know. That's this town, especially right now with what everything's going on with the WGA, potential writer's strike. People are like ripping at old ideas, like what can we throw together fast to make a script so if there's a strike, we can like be ready to shoot.
I assure you that Game of Thrones, a prequel 100 years prior to the previous prequel, is not a quick throw together script. Just FYI.
Yeah.
Just saying. Okay? It's not like it's a sitcom. Like it's like
You're
literally
right.
like there's no quick throw together about it. Like, I get your point, but that's fucking definitely inaccurate.
Well, I'm just saying, like, people are always like nervous about like what's gonna like work, If they have something that's worked in the past, they believe it'll work again, as opposed to throwing a new idea out there and being like, well, people like it or not, because you just don't know. There's a lot more question marks when you put something new out there. But then again, we scream for new stuffs. A sitcom, a Game of Thrones sitcom. Let's do it. Hey guys, I just came back from outside and the White Walkers are everywhere. How's your day?
I like how you Seinfelded that shit. Like, seriously.
I just got off my dragon. Oh man, his hooves are tired. Anyway, you don't have hooves. Horns? I don't know.